Run get your coffee. Today we're joining me with Bronson Long from Georgia Highlands College. We're going to talk about study abroad. Get your coffee.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome to GHC Coffee Break. I'm very excited about my guest today, Dr. Bronson Long, a colleague and friend at Georgia Highlands College. And Bronson, you were in your office the other day speaking French, and you were interacting with a student, and I was like, oh wow, that's so awesome. And so I began to talk to you about your journey with study abroad and what you did. I know one of the things that for a lot of people, they go, well, what is the benefit of study abroad for students? So let's just kind of start out by you telling me your story, please.
Yes. When I was a teenager, I was very interested in history, which is how I sort of ended up as a history professor, right, and other countries. And I sort of had a wild hair at the end of my high school years. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with college. I knew I wanted to go to college. I just wasn't quite sure what all I wanted to do. So what I did is I was a little young when I graduated high school. I was 17. I grew up in Gainesville, Georgia. And I decided, well, I'm just going to go to another country for a year after I graduate high school.
Wow.
So yes, I did a second senior year after I graduated high school here in the States in France. I went to a French high school. I lived in a small town in Normandy. I lived with a French family. Now, I'd only had 2 years of French as a high school student, so my French was not very good going over there. And my host family didn't speak a bit of English at all.
Wow.
So the first couple of months were rough, I will admit. But the longer I was there, the more it sank in, and I think it sort of got drilled into my head. I had to speak French to survive, really. And it was sink or swim, and I learned it. By the end of my year there, I was dreaming in French. It was very fluid and conversational. And so that really has shaped the rest of my life in many ways, because I then went to undergraduate. I went to what's now the University of North Georgia, and I double majored in French and history. And from there went on to graduate school and ended up as a European historian. And that language has served me very well ever since, and throughout my entire academic career. And yes, talking with students, there are students who speak French sometimes. There's been a number of occasions where it's been very useful for me. Also, when I was newly married, my wife was studying German, and she got a Fulbright to live in Germany. And of course, I was happy to tag along with her.
Of course.
Yeah, and so I studied German while she taught English in a German high school, and we lived in Westphalia, which is in the western region of Germany. We were actually there. We got there the day before 9/11. Yeah, and so
wow.
we were jet lagged when 9/11 occurred, and our experience with that whole year is just very different than most people in the United States. We have a very different perspective on it in many ways, but we had a fantastic time. We traveled all over Germany that year. I took language classes during the week while she was teaching. Then we had the weekends free. This is before we had kids and all. So we would travel all over Germany on the trains. We went to a number of other countries. We went to the Netherlands, Belgium, Austria, the Czech Republic.
Austria's beautiful.
Austria's beautiful, yeah. We spent Christmas there even, which was up in the Alps with the snow and all. It was gorgeous.
We spent some time in St. Johann. Johann, I think it was. Johannesburg, but I can't remember the little town, but it was so pretty. It's June and there's snow.
Yes.
It's like,
snow-capped mountains.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
So that was a fantastic year for us. And then later, when I went back and did my PhD at Indiana University, I got a fellowship and spent a year in Paris, and my wife came with me. I was working in the Foreign Ministry Archives, and that's where I did all the research for my dissertation that eventually became my book.
Okay.
And that was a good year where I really was intently living in Paris, and I lived with just a couple of blocks from the Eiffel Tower, so I got to know that area of Paris very well. traveled back to Germany some to do some research. And so I've really had a varied experience living in Europe.
Very much so.
Yeah, and it shaped my entire academic career. I tell this to students that I use my experience on a regular basis because I teach history, and almost every day in my class there'll be something because of my varied travels that I'm teaching that relates to that I can bring out. Well, at this castle, which we're talking about something in the Middle Ages, well, I've been there and this is what it's like, right?
Wow.
And so those are the kind of things that has really shaped my career. And I've talked to other people who have these experiences in business and in other fields, and the same holds true for them. So study abroad has all kinds of potential to benefit those who engage in it.
And I think when I look, I had never really traveled much out of the country, much less in the States, until we won't get into age, but anyway. and I've gotten to go to Austria, Normandy, Paris. I got to see the Eiffel Tower, go up on the Eiffel Tower. That was beautiful. And there was one other spot Germany, which was really interesting. It was at that time odd to see armed guards in the train stations.
Yes.
With like big guns.
French are the same way. You'll see policemen and policewomen with machine guns around the Eiffel Tower sometimes during a time of high security.
Yeah.
As we have here from time to time as well.
But it was a good experience. I'm not trying to put a negative spin on it, but it was something that, it was a different culture.
Yes.
And to also, here we don't take 2-hour lunches, and we would go to some shops and we're closing at 12 and we'll be back at 1,
Right.
or 2 or whatever it was. Animals, pets. Sometimes there would be cats in shops, but they just hang out.
Right.
And of course I loved it. It was absolutely fascinating. I wish I would have had those opportunities younger. I think I would have I appreciated them a lot. I can only imagine what it might have been, though, to do it when I was more of a high school / college age.
Right.
Getting out and really getting to go to places that I never dreamed. I got to go to on a study abroad, actually.
Right, to Australia.
I led one to Australia, which was, oh my gosh, have you ever been to Australia?
I have not. That's on my bucket list, but I've not been there yet.
Oh my goodness, that was, I would move there. I really would. The ecological and the environmental astuteness and awareness in that country was amazing. The ecology, we went on Fraser Island, which was, it looked like a scene out of Jurassic Park.
I've heard about this, yeah.
Beautiful. We didn't get really inland, but oh my gosh, beautiful place. And we took a few students, and they came back, and I was teaching sociology, so they had to look at it from the perspective of the sociological experience, the culture,
right.
the Aborigines, the dingoes, which was there's a really big issue, of course, because of Ayers Rock and the little child that was taken in the wild. I can't think of her name right now. But it was really important to their culture, and to understand the dingo was not this evil thing. Actually very interesting looking animal. But to have those experiences and how exciting I felt and my students felt, I got to see it. So it's really great that Georgia Highlands has a study abroad program, and especially with someone like you leading it that's really had this very diverse experience that you can get excited and get the students excited about.
Yeah, yeah. And you're absolutely right. This is the perfect time in their life to travel. They're old enough, mature enough to do it. They don't have full-time jobs typically, or families are not married with children yet. It's the perfect time in their life to go, and absolutely. We've taken students to places that has, sometimes you hear the term, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity,
right.
And that's kind of a sales gimmick. But literally, in some of these cases, it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. To give you an example, we took students here from Georgia Highlands in 2014 to the 70th anniversary celebrations of the D-Day landings. And they were actually there when President Obama and President Francois Hollande of France spoke at the American Cemetery on Omaha Beach. and there are all kinds of dignitaries, veterans, very, very elderly at this point. That experience really was once in a lifetime.
I can't even imagine. We got to go on the beaches in Normandy and see some of the little dugout, I don't know what they're called, but the dugouts where they had the armory and stuff.
Right, shooting, some of the pillboxes probably.
Pillbox, yes, thank you. Couldn't think of the name of it. And to actually be there and walking on soil that was, people died there.
Yeah.
The historical aspect, the sociological aspect of it was just almost over. I mean, I can remember sitting there crying. We visited the cemetery, and all the little white crosses, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting goosebumps up right down.
These were real American boys, right? Mm-hmm. And you're right. You normally go to a beach and you think this is a relaxing place, and it is actually a pretty beach.
Oh, beautiful.
But when you think about what happened there, when you're on that beach, it's a very different sensation than when you're in Florida, for instance.
Very overwhelming. And we stayed in a village that was, there was only one person in the village that spoke English, and they would have her translate, because we stayed in one of the houses, which was absolutely phenomenal in and of itself. And they had a little restaurant down the hill where we walked to eat authentic French. They had the 7 courses, the cheeses, the whole bit. And what a culture.
Food is a reason a lot of people go abroad, and there's
the food is
the variety in many countries is worth the trip.
Absolutely. So to be able to do that and experience it is a once in a lifetime. I don't know that I'll ever get back there. My granddaughter says I'm taking her when my grandkids get 16 that we have to take them, but we'll see. But yeah, the experience of standing on the ground at the beach, going up on the Eiffel Tower. We went to in Austria. Went to Salzburg, where saw the Sound of Music, where it was filmed, and
there's a Mozart museum there as well.
Oh, and we did. I don't know what all the museums we visited. I know we were very frustrated because the Louvre was closed.
Oh,
they apparently they have these walkouts every now and then, or the employees go on strike and so it'll be closed.
I've been through that before.
Yeah, it seems to be a typical thing. So we didn't get to the Louvre.
Yeah.
I mean to the.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. We did go to some of the other museums, which is really neat. And I never really thought I liked museums that much. But I've really grown, as I've gotten older, I've grown to enjoy history more and appreciate it more. And I think with the study abroad, it really does bring sociology, history, political science.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially what I think of the social sciences. I think it really brings this wonderful experience to kind of live what they're reading about.
Well, it involves so many disciplines. You mentioned political science. Several years ago, we had a group here from Georgia Highlands. They went to Britain and to Belgium and the Netherlands, and when they were in the Netherlands, they were actually there and witnessed some of the war crimes trials. And they visited the EU headquarters in Belgium. So it certainly does comport with political science, sociology. We've had trips to Costa Rica, and that goes very well with biology. And there's a lot you can do with science on study abroad, and just on and on and on. I mean, you name pretty much any discipline. English. We have a trip to Italy. We had 8 students who went to Italy this summer, and they actually took English classes. Dr. John Hershey. And he actually taught Dante's Divine Comedy, and they went and visited his birthplace.
Oh, now that's just too.
When else in taking a class can you do that?
That is awesome. Well, we only have about a minute left in this segment, and when we get back, we can talk more about specifically what Georgia Highlands offers in study abroad.
Right.
What the goals are for Georgia Highlands in study abroad. And things like that. So I'm really excited. This is one of those subjects that I'm very passionate about, and I know what it can do for you. So get your coffee, and we'll be right back.
My college offers classes that meet my educational and career goals.
With opportunities outside the classroom.
Where the faculty know me by name.
My college can prepare me for my career.
I can earn an associate's degree and transfer credits toward my bachelor's.
My college is a state college within the university system of Georgia.
My college is affordable.
It's close to home.
My college has online opportunities.
It's where excellence begins.
We are
GHC, Georgia Highlands College.
Welcome back to GHC Coffee Break. Really excited that Dr. Bronson Long was available to come and talk to me today and to us about study abroad in general, kind of your experience, which really does, I think, speak very well to what you're doing now at Georgia Highlands College as the study abroad leader. I know that there's a lot of places, if you want to talk a little bit about, you talked some about some places you went. I know you've taken some nurses, I believe, to Costa Rica.
We've had trips going to Costa Rica for several years. Many people don't know, but the University of Georgia actually has a mini campus in the northern part of Costa Rica, an area called Monteverde. It's very beautiful. It's up in the mountains, very unique ecology. It's a cloud forest there. And so, yes, we have taken students in general on spring break trips there, and we've taken nursing and dental hygiene students specifically to look at the medical services offered there. The point is so they get a sense of what medical care is like in Latin America, because we have so many Latinos in our area who come from that sort of background, and it helps them treat those folks better. So yes, and Costa Rica is a wonderful country. It's very beautiful. The ecology is very lush. You have both the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans there. The people are very friendly. The food is fantastic. It's very peaceful and stable. It's actually been rated the happiest country on earth.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, yeah. There's everything from the mountains to the beach, and students love it. And fortunately, it's fairly inexpensive as well compared to, unfortunately, as much as I love Europe or China, the airfare drives the prices up for those trips. But Costa Rica is typically affordable. So this year we have a spring break trip to Costa Rica. We'll be sending 2 faculty members and a group of students there. And they'll be doing everything from staying with a host family to visiting the cloud forest there, to doing some replanting of trees, some fun activities such as zip lining. They'll be visiting a volcano.
Oh, that would be.
So yeah, a lot of cool things in that trip, and it's really tailor-made for those who have never been abroad or never been that far abroad, and they're a little hesitant because it's a safe country. And if you don't have a lot of time, a lot of money, well, that's really the trip to go on, because it's just 1 week, spring break. So I'm really excited about that trip. We've run it for several years, working with UGA Costa Rica, and they've always been very, very gracious hosts. So it's a great opportunity for students.
That, and you know, you talked about the money part of it. Yeah, we do know that there's a money issue because students are students.
Yeah.
But the value that they get for their money, like I said with the Australia trip, I mean, it was just amazing what the students, and we could compare, for me it was sociology, compare the sociological perspectives we were learning about, not just in our own country, but more globally. Not saying that Australia is not that different, but it really is. I mean, there's a lot of different things. I think everything deadly that can kill you lives in Australia.
Yeah.
You know, poisonous spiders and snakes. But you know, it was
sharks.
Yeah, sharks. Oh, while we were there, there was something doing with the tide where the bull sharks were coming into. There was been storms, and they come into the freshwater area because they the fish and stuff were being driven out of the canals, and so it's a great feeding place.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't see them feeding, especially other people, but it was really, we went to the place where they do kind of hang out.
Right,
so.
right.
But things like that, you know, I would never think about getting to do. And we took a night hike, you know, and saw the flying foxes, which, you know, that's it's a bat. But beautiful.
And that's one of the things they do in Costa Rica is they take them on night hikes, and you can see everything from monkeys to cutter ants to, you know, all kinds of critters in the rainforest there that we just simply don't have in the United States.
Oh my gosh!
So it's really fantastic.
Well, I think that's a good trip that is coming up. I don't know how many of our students and faculty and community, I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of information out there, but I definitely hope that you can get a good group going this year. What else have you got planned for this year?
Right, right. But for our Costa Rica trip and for our trips in general, those who are interested in watching this program, if you can visit the Georgia Highlands website and click Study Abroad under that, you'll find the details for these trips. But the other trips we have going, and we've also partnered with other USG institutions for this, we have one to Italy this summer. Dr. Sean Callahan, a psychology professor, is leading that, and that's through Kennesaw State University. It's to Montepulciano, Italy. It's where we had our students last year. It's in Tuscany. Most people have never heard of Montepulciano, but it's a village up on top of a ridge in Tuscany. It looks down on beautiful valleys full of olive groves, and it's a prime grape growing area where they have vineyards there as well. It's also known for its high quality wine, and it's up on this ridge. And the views are just fantastic. It was built during the Renaissance as a retreat for wealthy people from Florence, and it's within close range of both Florence and Rome. And so our students will take classes there. And one of the cool things about Montepulciano is they live in apartments with just fantastic views. They take their classes in a building called La Fortezza, which means the fortress. It's an old medieval fortress that's been renovated.
My gosh.
So again, I mentioned once in a lifetime. Yeah, once in a lifetime opportunity. How many people can say I took classes in a medieval fortress?
Right.
Right. It's a really unique opportunity. So they take 2 classes with that program, the Montepulciano program. They're there for a month. They have classes, and then they do field trips. So field trips to Florence, the Uffizi, you can see the David, right? Or so much of the Renaissance art is in Florence. Or down to Rome to the Vatican, right? The Vatican Museum is very famous as well. They go to Naples, and on weekends they have time to travel, so students will jump on the train. And Italy, as with many countries in Europe, such as France and particularly Germany, Italy has a fantastic train system.
Yes.
So you don't need a car there. You just jump on the train, and students go to Venice for the weekend, or they go to Milan for the weekend, or wherever. They'll pair up. There are 2, 3, 4 of them, and they'll take their time. And it's a fantastic opportunity to take summer classes and get some credit under your belt and do something that you would never have the opportunity to do otherwise.
Wow. And I know in the past we've taken trips to Ireland, I believe.
We have had trips all over in the past. We've had trips to Ireland, Dominican Republic, to Greece, to Britain. This year our trips are Costa Rica, Italy, and then the other one is China.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now see,
and that's new. That's new for us.
Have we already got everything taken care of on that one, or is it coming too late?
No, it's not too late. In fact, we've had several students already enroll in that trip.
Really?
Yeah. I've been recruiting for these trips for the last couple of weeks, and some of my colleagues have been helping me here at the college. That trip is also a system trip. It's through the University System of Georgia, and it's based up in Dalton. It's directed by Dr. Baodong Guo. He's Chinese originally, and he takes students to China for a month from all over Georgia. They leave in early May, and come back in early June. They also take 2 credit hours. They start in Beijing. They visit the Forbidden City. They visit the Great Wall of China. They spend most of their time in Jingzhou. That's where he's from. That's his home city, which is a pretty large city. And I guess the best way to describe it is sort of north-central China. There's a big university there, so they'll take classes there. Then they travel, just like they do in Italy. They travel kind of with field trips, and they end their trip in Shanghai, which is, so from what I've read, is the largest city in the world at this time.
Wow.
And it's very modern. So it's a fantastic trip because it gives students really a sample of all of China, right, or much of China rather. And China, of course, is an incredibly important country. It's a country with a very rich history going back to the very beginning of civilization, and today is obviously a leading power and an economic powerhouse, and one that for the rest of the century, our country, for better for worse, whatever our relationship is, will be dealing with China.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I don't have a doubt about that.
Yeah, and it's very different than, of course, a Western country such as Italy or even Costa Rica. So in terms of learning about other cultures, the takeaway for students will be huge from going to China.
Yeah, you and I talked about this the other day, and a lot of it is airfare issues, but we were talking about is it the Gold Coast in Africa? What's the... Ivory Coast.
The Ivory Coast, the country, yeah.
Yes. We had the student that I overheard you talking with in French. I would love to do, Rwanda is one of my favorite. It's totally separate place, on the other end of the continent. But Rwanda is I love gorillas and the whole Gorilla in the Mist stories, and they're amazing animals to me. But that would be a dream to do some South Africa or some Africa trips, and I know that that's probably going to be very difficult due to the airfare.
Right, yeah, and that's what you run into with places like Africa or South America, Argentina, for instance. Europe, China it's a long flight, and a long flight means more fuel means a higher price. You know, Costa Rica is pretty close by, but these other countries are further. But still, if you've got the money, you can go. And yeah, my dream is eventually for us to have a trip to Africa. Africa's a rising continent, and people don't realize how big it is.
I look on. I mean,
the map doesn't do it justice.
No, it doesn't, from what I can tell.
Yeah, and all the indications indicate, well, the population's growing, and also the economy is growing. Africa still has a lot of problems, but it's moving in the right direction long term. So it's another area of the world that I think our college is eventually going to have to focus on because it's on the rise. And I think eventually we will probably have trips there. Not in the next couple of years, I don't anticipate that.
Right.
But hopefully, I'm trying to be hopeful that our funding situation will improve for study abroad and we can eventually have a trip to Africa.
I think students would be just enamored by not only the cultural aspects of it, but the ecology of it.
Right.
I mean, here again, you're hitting science, you can hit sociology, political. I mean, my goodness, look at the Hutus and the Tutsis, that whole revolution. You know, all of the Hotel Rwanda, of course.
Right.
We had him speak out. Paul Russell Babinga speak at one of our.
Yeah, that was quite a talk.
Was that not amazing?
Yeah.
There's not many people I would want to touch and never wash my hands again, but he was one of them. I was just so enamored by him and got to talk to him and shake his hand.
Yeah.
Amazing man. But yeah, the history and so history, culture, political, science, economic. I can't think. I mean, there's so many things that students would benefit from going to visit that country.
Absolutely.
So I hope too that will be something that comes along in the near future. I do like that we're having. You said China, Italy, and Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. So you know, Latin America, Europe, and Asia. That's not a bad mix.
No, not at all
at this time.
And I think it's really good that we are able to offer that. Like I said, I never heard of it when I was in college. I was a late bloomer anyway. But I think for our students now, this would be a great opportunity. So Bronson, I really appreciate you talking to us about it. And I'm looking forward to hearing more from you. Maybe when you get back from the trip, we'll have another show and you can talk about some things that all the good stuff that went on.
Sure.
So thank you for joining us on GHC Coffee Break. We'll be right back.
Hi, may I please have an application? Thank you.
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
Okay.
Take that first step towards a better future. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
I'm going to let Dr. Long close us out. Dr. Long, real quick, you got about 1 minute.
Sure. Well, thank you. Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you for having me. And to viewers, if this excites you, one thing I would like to point out is there's tremendous interest among our students for study abroad. I can't tell you how many students want to go. But the one problem we really wrestle with is our students are of modest means and they're young and they don't have a lot of money. So if you're so inclined, I would encourage you to perhaps consider giving some money for study abroad to the Georgia Highlands College Foundation. And this is a way to really benefit a student. And as it has influenced me for the rest of my life, it would influence them for the rest of their life. The investment goes a long way in study abroad. So I would highly encourage those watching to consider a donation to the Foundation for Study Abroad.
Absolutely, Bronson. Thank you for joining me on GHC Coffee Break. We'll see you next time. Get your coffee.